I'm not going to waste your time in this video. I'm going to give you the solution that you've been looking for in how to cure procrastination. And then I'm going to expand on it. The cure to procrastination is simply have a deadline. Now, that sounds so simplistic, doesn't it? But you and I both know that procrastination still pops up even though we intuitively knew what we need is some kind of deadline. So, it's not as easy as just knowing the fact that there's a deadline, because any deadline that you place on yourself, you can often just override because there's no real reason for that deadline. It's arbitrary. For example, if you're trying to, for argument's sake, what I've been doing is produce this video right here, right? I could keep speaking for a long time, but guess what? It's going to start raining in basically 10 minutes, maybe less. So I need to be very quick in what I'm saying, right? Because if I don't, it's going to start raining and I'm going to be trapped here. I want to get home, right? That's a simple example. There's other simple examples that I could give you and you can probably relate to. For example, back when I was going to school, if I wasted time at home in the morning when I knew I needed to get to school, I would have missed the bus. And that would have meant that I would have been half an hour late for class. So having that deadline meant that I couldn't waste time. I could not procrastinate. I needed to go catch the bus. That's a simple example. But it holds true with every example. Anything that's a bigger task that you've been trying to do, whether that's an essay that you're trying to write or that you've been putting off some kind of project, whatever it is, whether it's something that you genuinely care about or something that maybe someone else is telling you you have to do, if there is no deadline put in place, there is no pressure for you to perform. If there's no pressure, you'll relax. And because of that, you'll procrastinate. It's as simple as that. But you probably knew this, and yet you won't set those deadlines for yourself. And you know why? Because it's so much easier not to. It's so much easier to just relax, right? Who cares about that? I don't need to do it right now. If you know that something that you need to get done is not that important just yet, you'll put it off. You will put it off literally until the last moment. Haven't you recognized this in your own life? I know for a fact that this has happened to me and for so many people around me. You will procrastinate till the last moment, and it's only when it gets so bad that you finally make the change. Think about those times back in school. You had a paper due. You didn't start it 2 weeks early, did you? You didn't get it the moment that you got that assignment from the teacher. Did you start working on it? Most likely you didn't, because the majority of people don't do that. And I was one of those people because I didn't need to do it yet. It was so much easier to put it off till later because there was no pressure to perform. It didn't matter. But guess what happens? There comes a point when the deadline approaches, and once you get to that point, when there's only 24 hours left, you scrambled. You had to get it done, because if you didn't, you would show up the next day without that paper, and guess what? You would have failed. You would have lost whatever marks. And that pressure to perform is what got you to act. But it's not so simple sometimes, because in school, these deadlines are placed on you, so it makes sense. You had to perform because of that. But think about projects that maybe you want to do and you just keep putting it off. Someday I'll do that. Someday is here. Someday is now. And if you don't act right now, you will never get the results that you want. You will never achieve the goals that you want. Feel that pain. That pain is a powerful motivator to get you to take action. You need to be willing to face the pain of where your current situation is. And secondly, the positive things that could come as a result. These two forces drive your entire existence, pain and pleasure. When you have the pain behind you, something so painful that if you don't take this action, the cost of not taking action, that is what's going to fuel you. It's going to give you the desire that you need in order to act. And secondly, when you have the pleasure of the achievement on the other side. Both of those things. But what's interesting is that pain is a more powerful motivator for most people than pleasure. It is, because just think about it. You may intuitively know that you want certain results in your life. You want to make more money. You want to get a better body, right? You want to lose weight. And yet you haven't acted because all you're thinking about right now is the pleasure of it. And that is not enough. You need the pain. And the pain often comes from the pressure of a deadline. That's why we act. When you recognize that these two forces are within you, you become in control of them rather than the other way around. Most people live their life without knowing why they do certain things. They just go about their day, not recognizing these things. But when you become aware of it, you start to say, that doesn't make any sense. Why haven't I taken action? I know I should, but why haven't I yet? It's because you haven't gotten to the point where that change is an absolute must for you. It is not until you get to that point that things change. Change only happens when it's a must, not a should, not a could, not a might, but a must. It's only when things get so bad, so painful, so dark, that you finally push through that resistance. And I bet you understand this already. I bet you've had moments like this in your life that you have followed through, that you didn't procrastinate. Ask yourself why. In those moments, why was it that you didn't procrastinate? Why was it that you stopped procrastinating? How was it that you finally cured procrastination in that moment for whatever that thing was? I promise you, it was because you focused on the pain of not taking action, you had a deadline, and then finally you focused on the pleasure of what you get as a result. It's only because of those things that it drove you to take action. So, if you're procrastinating right now, just to wrap this video up before it starts to rain, what do you think you need to do right now, right? Focus on that pain. Feel that emotion. Don't just think it. Feel it. Feel it with intensity. Because in that moment that you feel that, that's what's going to get you to set the deadline for yourself. You're going to say, I need to make this happen. Not because someone else told me to, but because I know in my gut that this is exactly what I need to do. If I don't do it, what's it going to cost me? And what am I going to gain as a result? At that point, you will take action and you will have finally cured procrastination.